The village of Amuzi was a place of peace, surrounded by rolling green hills, fertile farmlands, and a river that whispered secrets to the wind. In this village, a baby girl named Adanna was born to Chief Obiora, one of the most respected men in the land. Her mother, Nenena, was a woman of rare beauty and kindness, and she adored her daughter more than life itself. For the first 6 years of Adanna's life, she knew nothing but love. She would wake up to her mother's soft singing, the scent of roasted yams filling the air, and the warm embrace of her father when he returned from the village meetings. Adanna was the light of their home. But happiness, like a candle in the wind, does not always burn forever. Tragedy struck when Nenena fell ill. Despite the efforts of the best healers in Amuzi, she passed away, leaving behind a grieving husband and a heartbroken little girl. For months, Chief Obiora was inconsolable. His once vibrant home became silent, the laughter gone, replaced by the endless echoes of memories. The village elders, seeing his sorrow, advised him to remarry, believing it would bring balance to his household. Enter Adiora. Adiora was beautiful, tall and elegant, with a voice that could charm even the hardest of hearts. But behind her enchanting smile lay a heart of stone. At first she pretended to love Adanna, showering her with gifts and words of kindness. But once she gained Chief Obiora's trust, her true colours emerged. A life of misery begins. Adiora gave birth to a son, Chike, and that was when Adanna's suffering truly began. She was forced to sleep in the kitchen, while Chike had a soft bed in the main house. She was made to wake up before dawn to fetch water, sweep the compound, and prepare food, while Chike played with his toys. If anything went wrong, she was blamed and beaten, even for things she did not do. Chief Obiora, blinded by his love for Adiora, did not see the suffering of his daughter. Whenever he was around, Adiora would pretend to be kind, smiling sweetly as she served him food. But once he left, her cruelty knew no bounds. "You are nothing but a burden," Adiora spat one evening, throwing a bowl of cold food at Adanna's feet. "Eat that and be grateful I allow you to stay in this house." Tears welled in Adanna's eyes, but she swallowed them. She had learned that crying only made things worse. By the time Adanna turned 16, she had become a shadow of herself. Thin, always tired, and covered in bruises from Adora's frequent beatings. The only thing that kept her going was the memory of her mother's love and the hope that one day things would change. But Adora had other plans. One fateful night, as the moon cast silver light over the village, Adora called Adanna into her room. "You are old enough now," she said, her voice dangerously calm. "There is no space for a useless girl like you in this house anymore. Tomorrow you leave." Adanna's heart pounded. "Leave? Go where?" Adiora smirked. "That is not my concern. But by sunrise you must be gone, or I will make sure you never walk again." Adanna felt her knees weaken. Was this how her life would end, alone and abandoned? That night, as she lay on the cold kitchen floor, she whispered to the stars, "Mama, if you can hear me, please, help me." But fate had a twist waiting for her. As the first light of dawn crept over the village of Amuzi, Adanna stood at the entrance of her father's compound, her heart pounding in her chest. Her stepmother Adiora watched with cold eyes, her arms crossed as if impatient to be rid of her. "I don't care where you go," she said with a sneer, "but if I ever see your face here again, you will regret it." Adanna turned to her father, Chief Obiora, just hoping he would stop this madness. But he only sighed and looked away, his silence cutting deeper than any words could. With nothing but a small cloth bag, holding a loaf of dry bread and a bottle of water, Adanna stepped onto the village path, tears blurring her vision. She was alone. Adanna had never left Amuzi before. As she walked along the dirt path leading to the unknown, the sun rose higher, its heat merciless against her tired body. For hours she walked, the hunger clawing at her stomach like a wild animal. Her feet were swollen and she had nowhere to go. By the time she reached the outskirts of a distant village, Umezi, the sun had begun its descent. With trembling hands, she knocked on the door of a small hut. An old woman answered. She had kind eyes, but a wary expression. "Please, Ma." "I have nowhere to sleep," Adanna whispered, her voice hoarse from thirst. The woman, Mama Ejima, hesitated, looking at the stranger before her. "Are you a runaway?" Adanna hesitated. If she admitted she had been cast out, would the woman send her away too? "I just need somewhere to rest," she said instead. Mama Ejima sighed and stepped aside. "Come in, child." That night, Adanna slept on a mat in a stranger's home, her heart heavy with sorrow. But the next morning, she awoke to a new problem. Adanna did not want to overstay her welcome, so she followed Mama Ejima to the Umezi village market, hoping to earn food by helping traders. She was carrying a basket of fruits when she heard a voice so arrogant and commanding it made the hairs on her arms rise. "Out of my way, foolish girl." Adanna barely had time to react before a young man on horseback almost trampled her. The force of the horse's movements sent her sprawling to the ground, her fruits rolling everywhere. Gasps echoed through the marketplace. "Who dares block the prince's path?" a guard bellowed. "Right." Adanna looked up, her heart hammering. The man before her, dressed in rich silk and gold jewelry, sat atop a black stallion, looking down at her as if she were an insect beneath his feet. He was Prince Obinna, the only son of King Ekena, ruler of the great kingdom of Nuri. His face was striking, his skin dark like polished ebony, his eyes piercing like a hawk's, but his arrogance was unbearable. "You dare obstruct my way?" Prince Obinna's voice was laced with irritation. Adanna's blood boiled. She was tired, hungry, and had endured enough humiliation. "Maybe if you looked where you were going, you wouldn't be riding over people like a blind goat," she snapped. The crowd gasped in horror. Did this girl just insult the prince? Prince Obinna narrowed his eyes. No one had ever spoken to him like that. "Who are you?" he demanded. Adanna lifted her chin defiantly. "Just a nobody," she said bitterly. "Like you said, someone in your way." Something flickered in Prince Obinna's gaze. Interest, curiosity, and challenge. Later that night, Adanna was preparing to leave Umez when royal guards arrived at Mama Ejima's hut. "You," one barked. "Prince Obinna requests your presence at the palace." Adanna's breath caught. "What? Why?" Before she could protest, they grabbed her, dragging her toward the grand palace of Nuri. Was this her punishment for speaking back to the prince? As she was pushed through the enormous palace doors, her heart pounded. And when she saw Prince Obinna waiting for her, a strange smirk on his lips, she knew. Her fate had just taken an unexpected turn. Adanna's heart pounded as the royal guards led her through the grand palace of Nri. The sheer size of the palace was overwhelming. Towering golden pillars, vast marble floors, and intricate carvings of ancient rulers decorated the walls. But she had no time to admire the beauty. She was being taken before the prince, and she had no idea why. When they finally reached the prince's chamber, Adanna stiffened. Prince Obinna sat lazily on an ornately carved wooden throne, watching her with an unreadable expression. He looked both amused and intrigued. "You," he said, his voice deep and commanding, "the girl who dares insult me." Adanna's fists clenched at her sides, but she remained silent. Prince Obinna smirked. "Do you know why you're here?" "To be punished," she said bitterly. The prince chuckled, tapping his fingers against his throne. "Perhaps, or perhaps, I have a better use for you." Adanna's brow furrowed in confusion. "I have never met a girl who speaks to me with such boldness," Prince Obinna continued. "It is refreshing." He stood up, stepping closer. He was tall, his presence intimidating, but Adanna refused to cower. "You need a lesson in respect," he said. "So, you will work in this palace as my personal servant." Adanna's breath caught in her throat. A servant? She opened her mouth to protest, but the prince smirked. "Or, if you prefer, I could have you locked in the dungeons for your insolence." Her stomach twisted. She had no choice. So, with a heavy heart, Adanna bowed her head. "I will serve." Palace life was not easy. As Prince Adanna's personal servant, Adanna had to wake before dawn to prepare his clothes, meals and bath water, follow him to meetings, standing in the background, waiting for his orders, endure his arrogance and endless demands. "Adanna, fetch my cloak." "Adanna, bring my drink." "Adanna, why are you so slow?" Every day felt like a battle. The other palace servants whispered about her. Why does the prince treat her differently? She is just a commoner, yet he looks at her as if she is special. Adanna ignored them. She just wanted to survive. But fate had other plans. Days turned into weeks, and something strange began to happen. Prince Adanna's mocking smirks softened. His orders became less harsh. And sometimes, just sometimes, he watched Adanna with something close to admiration. One evening, as Adanna was pouring his drink, the prince spoke. "Tell me, Adanna, where do you come from?" She hesitated, then whispered, "A place that was never home." The prince frowned. He did not press further, but that night, for the first time, he called her by her name instead of girl, and Adanna felt something stir deep in her heart. But not everyone was pleased. In the palace, Princess Amaka, daughter of a nobleman, had always believed she would marry Prince Adanna. She was beautiful, cunning, and cruel. When she noticed the prince's growing interest in a mere servant, rage burned in her heart. One night, she approached Adanna in the dark corridors of the palace. "You think you are special, don't you?" Amaka sneered. Adanna stayed silent. "Listen well, peasant," Amaka spat. "Prince Adanna will never love you. He belongs to me." Then, with a cruel smile, she whispered, "Enjoy your time here while it lasts, because soon you will wish you had never entered this palace." Adanna's blood ran cold. Something dangerous was about to happen, and she had no idea that the truth about her past was about to be revealed. Adanna couldn't shake off Princess Amaka's warning. The way she had spoken, the malice in her voice. It was clear that something dangerous was coming. But Adanna had no choice but to continue her duties as Prince Adanna's personal servant. One evening, after a long day of attending to the prince, Adanna was preparing to retire when she felt a sharp pain in her stomach. It was as if fire had erupted inside her. She collapsed onto the cold marble floor, gasping. Something was wrong. A faint, mocking laughter echoed in the distance. Princess Amaka, the food. She had poisoned it. Adanna's vision blurred, and darkness swallowed her. When Adanna awoke, she found herself in a grand room, far different from the servants' quarters. The scent of fresh herbs filled the air. She turned her head weakly and saw Prince Adanna sitting beside her, concern in his usually arrogant eyes. "You almost died," he said. "Someone tried to poison you." Adanna swallowed. She knew who had done it. But before she could respond, an old woman entered the room. Her face was aged but wise, and she carried an air of mystery. "I've waited for this day," the woman whispered, her eyes locked onto Adanna. "Who are you?" Adanna asked. The old woman smiled. "I am Mama Ifeka, the royal seer." She stepped forward, taking Adanna's hand and closing her eyes. "The blood of royalty flows within you," she whispered. Adanna's heart stopped. What was she saying? "You are not just a common girl," Mama Ifeka continued. "You are the daughter of Queen Nanena of the lost kingdom of Umudara." The room fell silent. Adanna shook her head in disbelief. My mother's name was Nenena, but she was not a queen. Mama Ifeka sighed. That is because she hid the truth to protect you. The hidden past. Many years ago, before Adanna was born, Queen Nenena of Umudara was betrayed. Her own brother, seeking power, staged a rebellion against her rule. To protect her unborn child, she fled to the village of Amuzi, where she disguised herself as a common woman and married Chief Obiora. But her enemies did not stop searching for her. The moment Adiora, Adanna's stepmother, entered the picture, she must have discovered a secret about Adanna's royal bloodline. That was why she had been so desperate to get rid of her. Prince Abina looked at Adanna in shock. You mean to say she is a lost princess? Mama Ifeka nodded. She is the rightful ruler of Umudara. News of Adanna's true identity spread across the kingdom. The people of Umudara, who had long suffered under the cruel rule of the traitorous uncle, begged her to return. But taking back her kingdom would not be easy. Her enemies were still powerful. Prince Obina, now looking at Adanna with newfound respect, made a decision. I will stand by you, he declared. We will reclaim your throne together. Adanna, who had once been a mistreated orphan, was now standing on the edge of greatness. And so, with the support of the kingdom of Nul, she marched toward Umudara, ready to fight for what was rightfully hers. The battle that followed was fierce, but in the end Adanna stood victorious. Her wicked uncle was overthrown, and the people cheered her name. A reunion with the past. With her throne restored, Adanna set out to find the truth about her father. Chief Obiora, who had remained in Amuzi, was shocked when he heard the news of her royal identity. When he arrived in Umudara and saw Adanna seated on the throne, he fell to his knees. My daughter, forgive me, he whispered. For the first time in years, Adanna saw the pain in his eyes, the guilt of not protecting her, the sorrow of realizing how much he had lost. She walked toward him, her heart pounding. She could feel the eyes of her court watching, waiting to see what she would do. Then, in a moment that shocked everyone, she reached out and lifted him to his feet. I forgive you, father, she said, tears in her eyes. The court erupted in applause. As for Odeora, her wicked stepmother, she was banished from the kingdom, left to wander alone, forever haunted by her own greed. Months later, Adanna was crowned Queen of Umudara. She ruled with kindness and wisdom, ensuring that no child would ever suffer the way she had. Her people loved her. The kingdom flourished under her reign. And Prince Obina? He knelt before Adanna and said, I once thought you were beneath me, but now I see you are always above me. Their love story was just beginning. And so Adanna found both her throne and her true love. The girl who had once been cast away became the most powerful queen the land had ever known,